I can change the iris up here and I can focus here.
Beginning photographers and videographers many times have trouble framing a scene in a way that's captivating. While some of this will improve with practice, there are some rules that when followed can provide immediate results. In this video, we'll discuss these rules and give examples to help you create better looking film. The first thing to consider when framing images is to follow the rule of thirds. To do this, you simply cut the frame into thirds from the top to the bottom and from the left to the right. Then place the person or the item you want to emphasize on the intersection of the lines that were created when dividing the frame, or on the lines themselves. In this first image, the fish is in the center of the frame, and it tends to feel static. Now we place it on an intersection of lines created when dividing the frame into thirds. This photo is more interesting because the viewer is more engaged in locating the item of interest, as it's not squared in front of them. Here is another example, but with a plant. When it's in the center, it's as if we are telling the viewer, this is the only important thing. There is nothing else of interest to see. By moving the item you want to highlight from the center of the frame to the intersection of the lines when dividing into thirds, the feel of the photo changes and the viewer is engaged to examine more and to stay longer. In addition to location within the frame, if the subject has a face, the face should point to the side of the frame farthest from it. Having a larger space between the face of the person or animal and the edge of the frame allows for more balance in the frame and less tension for the viewer. When you don't do this, the viewer's eyes will tend to look outside of the frame, looking for what the character is engaged in, and the overall feeling is that of less comfort. A face can exist on an object in addition to humans and animals. For example, there's a front end to a car, a plane, or a boat. The direction of the face of these objects should also be considered in the same way, allowing the larger amount of space between the face and the frame edge. Watch how the placement of the front end of this boat changes the feeling of the photo as you move the front end from a position close to the edge of the frame to a location where it has a large gap between it and the edge of the frame. Something else to consider when composing are triangles. Triangles that are created by drawing lines between the major objects or the major focus points in a frame. The human eye is drawn to major focus points, and if these focus points can form a triangle, the eye will subconsciously follow from one to the next and remain within the frame. Here we also have a natural triangle occurring, created by the horizon, the edge of the lawn, and the edge of the dock. In another example, the photo of the statue is not bad, but adding another contrasting element, the green tower, adds another focus point and creates a triangle between the statue, the green tower, and the white tower in the distance. Another way to improve interest is to use foreground elements. For example, when shooting a landscape shot like this marsh, the frame will be more interesting if you can see tall grasses or a branch in the foreground. Again, while practice and experimentation are important to improve, understanding what works and why can be useful. Keeping these rules in mind, you should immediately begin to see improvement in what you bring home from your work.